Okay, for the next session, today we'll start built-up beams. Okay, you can see some examples of built-up beams already I have drawn here. So in this case, one I section and both sides two cover plates or one cover plate is given. In this case, one I section and in only one side, one cover plate I have given. Here, two I section and both side cover plates are there. Here, two I sections are there. See. If you look at these figures, A, C, and D, A, C, and D, both are all these three are symmetrical because similar type of cover plates are provided here. Where if it is this side also, this side also. Here this side also, this side also. Here this side also, this side also. But if you look at B, this is not symmetrical, unsymmetrical because in only one side we have provided the cover. Now the question is why should we go for a build-up? Number one reason is that the roll sections, area of the roll section is not enough to carry the load, or the load carrying capacity of that particular roll section is not sufficient, so we have to put extra material on it. So, section is insufficient. Sometimes what we can restrict the depth. So, I section, if I increase the I section, its depth, its area may increase, but if we restrict the depth, then in that case we cannot use a simple I section. In that case, what we have to do, we have to go for two I sections together. Okay, or the span is long but the load are light. Sometimes we have lesser loads are there but the span is very long. So in that case also we need to go for a built-up sections. Okay. So since I told here that there are two types of systems are there, one the symmetrical built-up section and another is the unsymmetrical built-up section. Okay, let us see how to solve a symmetrical built-up beam. Okay, if we just look any figure of this one or this, suppose in this one, what I do if I want to solve this problem, what I have to know, I have to know what is the I section here, what is its moment of inertia. If I go to the steel table, I will find out its moment of inertia about the central relative. Let's say this is IR. Okay, so the area of this cover plate is AP. Okay, approximately. And so the depth of this plate is, this I section is, say it is T. Okay, if that is the case, then what about I? What will be the moment of inertia or second moment of area of whole section? Let's say this is I, capital I. Moment of area of the whole section is I. If that is the I, then what I can write? I can write moment of area about is approximately, I can write like this, plus there are two plates are there, one is at the top, another is the bottom area of this, into, if you say the total depth of this I section is D, then D by 2. See, it is a just approximate equation I have written. Actually it should be D plus T by 2. Why T? Because if you say the thickness of this plate is T, then the CG of this plate is at T by 2. But approximately I can write that, assume that this T is very small with respect to D, so I can write it as D by 2. Okay, that means what I can say, what I was talking about, this II is the moment of inertia of the rolled I section, whatever the I section we have used. Area of the cover plate, that is the flange plate, whatever, and D is the depth of the section. So now if you divide this equation by D by 2, what I will get? I divided by D by 2. Moment of inertia divided by the D by 2 is what? D by 2 is basically the distance from the top fiber to the CG. Okay, that is, we can say it is Y bar. So if we divide it, I by Y bar is what? I by Y bar is J, section modulus. Section modulus of the whole section, basically you write here, divide this equation by D by 2. Okay, so that will give you the section modulus of the whole section is equal to section modulus of the I section. Okay, so section modulus, we will get section modulus of the I section. Okay, plus what we will get, if you divide this by D by 2, then what is left? D by 2 here. 2 get cancelled. What is left here? A P. Okay, so what I can write? AP and this D is left. Okay, D by 2, if you divide by D by 2, 1 D by 2 left, this is cancelled, also 1 D is left. So from here what I can write? Area of the cover plate, the area of the cover plate will be what Z minus Zi whole thing divided by this, right? So what I can say from this equation that the required built-up section can be chosen by using an I section with section modulus Zi, and the area of the flange plate or area of the cover plate required is AP for each side. Okay. Now see, what we will do, we will be using some kind of rebates and all those things. So to cover up all these things, and also you have approximated here in place of D plus T, you have simply written T, T you have ignored it. So what you have to do, you have to increase this value by 20%. Okay, so whenever we are going to design it, you have to choose this AP in such a way that whatever the value coming from this equation, that is to be increased by 20%. Okay, that means what I mean to say simply, suppose from the loading conditions we know what is the section modulus required for a section, then we have to choose a section from the steel table, I section, that will have a section modulus with Zi. Then what should be the area of the cover plate for one side in case of symmetrical built-up beam, that will be AP. Okay, using this equation we can find out. Now whenever we are choosing it, increase this value by 20%. Why do we increase it? Because it's to take care of this approximation and as well as the rebate rule that we have not considered. Okay. Now next see the unsymmetrical built-up section. Unsymmetrical built-up. Okay, unsymmetrical built-up beam, that equation I have figure I have to know this case. Okay, that means we need area in one side. In this case, we can derive the equation and we can write down that approximately area of the cover plate required will be equal to, again with 20% addition of Z minus Zi divided by, okay. In case of unsymmetrical case also, we can find out that the area of the cover plate for one side it will be equal Z minus Zi by T, and addition of that 20% will be added extra, so around 1.2. Okay, so this is an approximate calculation. Now suppose I want to do a riveted connections for unsymmetrical symmetrical case. So how to do that? Okay, means what should be the pitch and how to do all the calculation. Let us see that part. Okay. So this is a riveted connection, symmetrical riveted connection. I have done it properly. Let's say this root is B. Okay, so the depth of this I section is D. The cover plate we are using is T. Here cover plate we are using is T. So what we can write, shear stress for which it is to be designed. Okay, shear stress for the flange plate will be what it will be. What we know the shear stress equation. Shear stress equal is shear force divided by second moment of inertia multiplied by breadth of the beam multiplied by area into volume. This is the general equation of shear stress. Okay. Now suppose I want to know what is the horizontal shear force per unit length of the beam. Okay, per unit. This is the stress. So I am interested to find out per unit length of the beam. So what you have to do? I have to multiply this with the area of this plate in other direction. Say in this direction. In this direction, if you say that see this plate, this is B, and this plate is having a say length of L, but I am taking per unit length, so I am taking a simple length of 1 unit. So what will be the shear force, or what will be the force, horizontal shear force? What will be that? That will be shear stress multiplied by the cross sectional area per unit length. So similarly, if I multiply this equation on the right side, then what it will be? B divided by I, because B is there, so B gets cancelled, and 1 is so multiplied, so it is left 1 into 1. Right? Here, what is this B? This B is, you can write down, B is the shear force, vertical shear force that is acting on this. I is the moment of inertia of the full compound section. Okay, total section. What is A into Y bar? What is this? This A into Y bar will write down. Moment of area above flange for the I section about the neutral axis. Moment of area above flange of I section about neutral axis. Okay, so what is the neutral axis? Say this is the neutral axis. This is the center line in the CG of in this direction. So this is the neutral axis. Okay, moment of area about. So what I can write? A into Y. Simply I can write A into Y bar. A into Y bar equal to flange plate. What is this flange plate? This is the flange cover plate. I am talking flange plate means here is talking about the cover plate. So cover plates B is this and T is the thickness. So what is the area? B into T. This is the area. And what is its distance from the neutral axis to the cover plate? See, the cover plate's neutral axis is at T by 2 and this distance is how much? D by 2. So what will be the Y bar? Y bar will be D by 2 plus T by 2. So this is the Y bar. So area into Y bar. Fine. Now if I write this in this equation, then what will be that? That equation will become tau B into B into 1, that is equal to B by I into B into T into B plus T divided by. Can I write like that? Okay. Now what I know, if I say that pitch of the rivet is P, let us assume that P is the pitch of the rivet. Pitch of rivet. So this is the horizontal shear stress or shear force that we have calculated for per unit length. If I am interested to find out this value for per pitch length, then what will be this value? For per pitch length, you can write on per pitch length. This will be B by I into BT into D plus T by 2 into T. This per pitch length, so you have to multiply this by. Okay, so per pitch length horizontal shear force is this. Now if you say that per pitch length, I am using n number of rivets. Just go back to this figure. Here what we are doing, we are using per pitch length 2 number of rivets. Like that, if you use another extra here, then it will be per pitch length 4 number of rivets. So like that, if we assume that per pitch length we are using n number of rivets and the rivet value is R, then what we can write about this horizontal shear stress? This horizontal shear stress is nothing but equal to NR. Okay, rivet value multiplied by the number of, that is the shear force. That is the horizontal shear force. That is nothing but equal to this we can write. That is equal to what you can write B T into D plus T P divided by 2. Okay, so what is the pitch? From this equation I can write down the pitch value. So pitch P will be equal to, just check that, that will be what we can write, N R I, Okay, just go there. NRI, 2 I have not written here. NRI divided by whole this value. NRI divided by B T, then D plus T divided by. Okay, so this is the pitch of the rebate. Okay, whatever the rebates we are using, we have to provide a minimum pitch of this. Okay, no, maximum pitch. Okay, this is the maximum pitch they have to use. That means what we can say that the pitch of the rebates should not exceed this value. Whatever the rebate we are using, their pitch cannot exceed this value. Okay, so we can say that the pitch, whatever will be provided, that should not exceed the value P that we have calculated. Okay, so this is one thing we have to remember whenever we are designing it. Whatever the rebate we are using, we have to see that the pitch of the rebate should not exceed this equation. So this is equation number A. So this A is a important part. Okay, now just come back to the original figure. This portion is called the outstand. This is beyond the rebate. Okay, so some guidelines is there in the code book. What is that? The outstand of the flange plate beyond the rebates. Outstand of the flange plate, this flange plate beyond the rebates in compression and in tension. It is talking about when this is under compression or when this is under tension. It should not exceed 16 T. Because when it is under compression, this value, if you say this value is X, this X should not exceed 16 T. When it is under compression. When it is under tension, this value should not exceed 20 T. Okay, when it is under tension. That means what we can say in a simple word, what we can write, the outstand should not exceed 16 T, or it should not exceed 20 T. When 16 T, when the beam is under compressive force, and when it is under tensile force. Okay, when it is under tension, it should not exceed this value 20 T, and when it is under compression. What is the T? T is the thickness of this plate. T is talking about this thickness. Okay. So this is how, or this is the concept that we can apply for design of a built-up beam. Okay, take some example, and whatever the things that I have discussed, you try to apply. Just summary, I will tell you what is to be done. Suppose you want to design a beam, built-up beam. So you do not know initially that whether you are going to design a built-up beam or a normal beam. So how to do it? Initially, what will be given to you? You will be given a load or the span, and the span or effective span will be known to you. Or if you see simple span is given to you, you find out the effective span. The load is given to you. Then from that load and the span, what you have to do? You have to find out what is the maximum bending moment, right? Once you know the maximum bending moment, then you will find out the section modulus. There is Z. Last class I have discussed how to find out the Z required. Z required is nothing but the maximum bending moment divided by permissible bending stress. That will give you the Z required. Now go to the steel table and find out the section modulus. Okay. If you think that the section modulus, whatever you require, accordingly that one section is not available. Suppose you require Z section modulus you require. So if you go to the steel table and find out a Z whose value must be greater than or equal to Z required. If you do not find out this value, that means you have to go for a built-up section. Or if you are finding out the Z section whose Z available is more than Z required, but your depth is limited. Suppose you can give a depth of say 400, but you got a section whose depth is say 500 to 600. So in this case you cannot provide. So in that case, you have to go for a built-up section. So you choose a Z, choose a section whose Z value will be less than Z required. Fine. So that will be known as your Zi, right? So what happens? Zi is you have chosen from your steel table, right? And Z required you know from beginning. So Z required minus Zi divided by what? Divided by D will give you the area of the cover plate required. Okay, Z minus Zi divided by D you calculate, that will give you the area of the cover plate. Then you increase it by 20% to take care of the approximation and whatever the rebates you are going to use. Okay, so these are the first steps that I have told you in the beginning. If you just remember that this part I told you in case of symmetrical, in case of unsymmetrical, same process. Okay, once you do that, then what you have to do, your job is to design it. How to design it? Now question is, okay, to design this part you have to find out you have to know what is the moment of inertia, all these things, and you have to find out the thickness and all. Okay, so for the design part you follow the next step. Basically what you have to do, once you got this value, then you find out what is the net in a moment of inertia. That is I gross or I you find out, exact I value you find out. Now the area you have chosen, now see what is the exact I value. Okay, this was the approximate I value. So you find out what is the exact I value. From this exact I value, what you do, you find out the maximum bending stress, sigma max. How to find out? Now you know what is your maximum bending moment. Maximum bending moment is known to you. You have calculated what is the gross moment of inertia, and you also know what is the y bar exact. Okay, because you have chosen some section, you have chosen some I section from the steel table, as well as what you did, you have chosen the cover plate. Okay, because the area is known to you, so according to your this flange width, you have chosen some cover plate. Now you know what is the exact I value. You find out this value must be less than how much? 165 MPa. That is the permissible bending stress. If that is the fine, then you can say your design is safe. If it is not fine, you change the section. After that, what you do, you will find out the average shear stress or the maximum shear stress or shear force, whatever. So you find out first you find out what is the maximum shear force. So from the loading condition and given your what is called beam span, you can find out what is the maximum shear force. Then you calculate average shear stress. Okay, you know what is the average shear stress? Average shear stress is nothing but the maximum shear force divided by TW and DW. For I section last class we discussed, and this value should not be more than 0.4 FY. Okay, check that whether this is satisfying the conditions or not. If it is satisfying, then you can say your from shear stress point of view also your design is safe. Once you say these two components are safe, then you go for check for deflection, because if you remember that last class also you have done, you have checked for deflection. Okay, so what you do, you have to calculate the del max. Del max, that is equal to K into, if you remember that I told WL cube divided by EI. Already I you have calculated E, you know, L is given to you total load W, and K you see depending on the support condition, load condition, you find out the K from the given table, calculate the del max, and then this del max should not be greater than span upon D25. If this is also okay, then you can say now your design is 100% correct. Once it is correct, then you go for design of riveted connection. You choose some rivet value, the rivet diameter. Okay, or if it is given in the question, fine. If it is not given, you choose some rivet diameter, find out the rivet value, and then calculate the pitch. Okay, so using the equation that whatever you have discussed, using this pitch, using this equation, you find out the pitch and give a pitch which should be less than this value, and then later on you calculate the outstand wherever you are providing your rivet. If suppose in this location you are providing, then find out the outstand and you check that this outstand should not exceed the given. Okay, so this is how we can design a built-up beam. Okay, so that's it about the built-up beam.